Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how is everything? I hope everything is fine. Well, on today's lesson, we will talk about blended learning. What is blended learning? And then the benefits, and then the use, and the application. So everyone, let's start by the nature or the definition of blended learning. So it is necessary to know that in every different learning problems, it requires different solutions too. Because each learner actually they have unique learning styles. If you still remember that you have already learned about second language acquisition, actually they have a different learning style and unique requirements. And each learner actually, because they have those uniqueness and requirements, so they have kinds of problem that each problem has unique characteristics. So everyone, in this pre-digital age, combination of different learning contexts were used for teaching. Yeah. So in the 21st century, actually the learning environment, they increase incorporate elements into varied instructional contexts. So everyone, actually there is a paradigm shift in learning in which the adapters actually they have already experimented with kinds of media ideas, formats and delivery option, and realize that the blended learning actually is the best method. Yeah. Well, now we go to the basic of the blended learning. So what is blended learning? Blended learning actually it is a learning that is facilitated by effective combination of different modes of delivery, models of teaching and styles of learning, applying them in interactively meaningful learning environments. So here I give the bold to some phrases like effective combination, different modes of delivery, models of teaching and styles of learning, and interactively meaningful learning environments. So I hope that you give the special attention to these phrases. Based on the statement given by the Garrison and Vaughan in 2008, they define that blended learning is thoughtful fusion of face-to-face and online learning experiences. So everyone, we can conclude that the blended learning is kind of term applied to the practice of providing instruction and learning experiences through some combination of both face-to-face and technology-mediated learning. Jadi ini adalah kombinasi antara pembelajaran online dan juga offline. Pembelajaran face-to-face yaitu tatap muka dan juga kombinasi dengan pembelajaran dengan menggunakan teknologi, ya bisa internet yang memiliki banyak fitur dan juga tools dan application. Nah, dua-duanya itu dijadikan satu metode yaitu blended learning. Blended learning actually sometimes called hybrid or mixed mode learning. So the systems of instructional design use many types of teaching and learning experiences and vary in design and implementation across teachers, programs, and schools. Jadi ini bervariasi sekali penggunaannya, jadi tidak bisa kita atasi. Ya, tapi intinya ini disebut dengan hybrid or mixed mode learning. So what comprises blended learning? Yeah. So if you see that blended learning curriculum, there is e-learning and classroom learning and can be a mobile learning. The tools or the application and then the implementation can be in the form of classroom training, web-based training, webinars, and CD-ROM courses, video, EPSS system, simulation, mobile learning, and many more. So blended learning itself can be divided into three models. Yeah, the first one is a blended presentation and interaction. The second one is a blended block model, and the last one actually fully online or can be called as the combination between synchronous activities and asynchronous activities. For more details, let's move to the next slide. So everyone, the first mode is called as blended presentation and interaction. Actually, it has classroom engagement as its primary component with support from out-of-class online exercises. The flipped classroom or flipped curriculum approach is a common example of this model. And the blended block model, sometimes called as program flow models, in which a sequence of activities or blocks is structured to incorporate both face-to-face learning and online study, usually with the consideration for both pedagogical goals and practical constraints. And the last one will be the fully online, but may be still considered as a combination between synchronous learning, for example, online tutorials, and asynchronous activities, for example, in a discussion forums, or maybe you have webinars and then online trainings, etc. It's called a combination between synchronous and the asynchronous ones. Thus, blended learning, basically they cover one or more of the following three situations. The first one is a combining instructional modalities or delivery media, combining instructional methods, and combining online and face-to-face instruction. So if you see the models, there will be differences among them. Model 1, Model 2, and Model 3, in which in a blended presentation and interaction, actually the activity focus on face-to-face and blended with the online resources. For example, the curriculum may be used is a PLIF, yeah, with the model combines like short lecture podcasts, online resource with, and then combined with face-to-face tutorials or seminars for interaction and presentation of group work. So here the online model try to make it as simple as possible, and then followed by a face-to-face tutorial or seminars for the interaction itself. And in blended block, actually it is a combination between the intensive face-to-face session as a 1 day or half days, weekly online tutorials or seminar for activities and interaction, and the last one online content and resources. And the third model is fully online. It is the combination between a short lecture podcast, The activities can be in the online tutorials or can be synchronous, and interaction via online collaboration like in the discussion forums or group work via webinar or Google Meeting or Zoom. Yeah, this can be possible. And basically, there is no fixed formula for the use of the technologies in blended learning program, because the variation exists due to the nature of the course content, the learning objectives, and the learner's profile. So it must be suitable with the needs of the students itself, whether they need to achieve the learning goals or learning objective, and we should also pay attention to the learner's profiles too. Well, it's all about the right when we see the blended learning models or methods, because it depends on the analysis of learners' requirement, their level of understanding, competencies at stake, and the nature of the location of the audience and resources available. So here the teacher should be able to see the circumstances faced by the students, their requirements, their understanding toward the materials, and their skill or competencies, and the nature of the location of each audience itself. Because sometimes the location of the students, one student with the others, they are very different. So you need to talk, you need to understand about it as the teacher. And here we are. We go to the benefits of blended learning. Blended learning, actually, it is a kind of a chance for collaboration at a distance. It means that the individual students worked together virtually in an intellectual endeavor as a learning practice. The second one, or the second benefit, comes to the increased flexibility. As we know that in our situation right now, global area, the technology enables the learners for learning anytime. It's unlimited without knowing where they located, and then it enables the students to learn without any barriers of time and location. And the third benefit is it enables to increase the interaction. So blended learnings, it offers a platform to facilitate greater interactivity. You may use possible interesting and sophisticated media to make your students to be more interested in your learning teaching process. And the another benefits of the blended learnings, it can enhance the learning itself. Usually additional types of learning activity improve the engagement and can help the students achieve higher and more meaningful levels of learning. And the last one, learning to be virtual citizens. Learners practice the ability to project themselves socially and academically in an online community of inquiry. So maybe we have some benefits. We have already told you about blended learning, but here are some challenges and recommendation which are identified in the recent research of teacher perspective conducted by Athabasca University of the Commonwealth of Learning in 2017. Yeah, actually, the first one is technology access. That the critical first step is to know which resources are available to your students. Is there any limited bandwidth or unreliable internet connectivity or lack of devices such as laptops or smartphones? So you need to know your students whether they afford it or not, whether they have those facilities or not. So you should be aware about it. And the second one is about design, namely creating the appropriate in-person and online activities mean design courses with the pedagogic principles of both and integrating technology. You may not forget the pedagogic principles in teaching. Yeah. Even though you use integrating technology, whether it is synchronized with the pedagogic principles. And the third will be safety and security. That just make sure that your students are in a safe and secure condition, namely create the awareness of cyber menace and ensure security intervention against unethical learning practices, academic dishonesty, and identity theft and bullying are in a place. So you should be more aware about it. And the fourth is skill development, support, and training. So here there are two individuals should pay attention, both students and instructors. They have to have a technological literacy and skills with the technology application. So it will be useless if the school or the university or stakeholders, they provide kinds of sophisticated technology, but the students or the instructor, they don't have any ability to operate their technologies. So the stakeholder should make sure that their instructors and their students can access the facilities used in in technology they provided. And the last will be motivation. Here the students need enough motivation, adequate motivation when engaging in a wide range of often shifting learning modalities, some of which may require significant skill development. In order to have a higher motivation in or engage in the process of the teaching learning. Well, we go to the applications of blended learning in our surroundings, that the elites or corporates, they are moving from classroom training to blended learning. There are some reasons why they do that, because they desire to retain core competencies and balance market demands, clients, budget, and time availability. So it's so simple. And then this blended learning can give them the flexibility to customize the programs, because it has no boundary or barrier, or it is a limitless of time and places. And here the 40% of training organization have an LMS. So by the existence of LMS, it can save 40% of training organization. And here it is the blended learning in a higher education, like university is an evolving phenomenon. They implement this blended learning. These university are like University of Botswana, University of Central Florida, University of Salford, and Charles Sturt University, etc. And we see the future, and we can see right now in the pandemic of COVID-19 that the advances in technology actually they have impact in emerging models of blended learning. It can be called as the virtual world, like in Facebook and metaverse and social telepresence, or like a seminar online, and augmented reality and using a mobile learning, etc. So thousands of technologies currently emerging will impact the academic learning as well as the training environments. Will dramatically expand blended learning options and opportunities. So everyone, any advent of technology has meant the elimination of what pedagogical method existed at the time. It is only changed the way learning is perceived and delivered. So blended learning can be as the transformational. That's why it has brought about institutional and transformation. And blended learning also think that this is only the beginning. So everyone, we go to the conclusion that blended learning itself can be defined as the combination of face-to-face classroom instruction with online learning with a course or program, a definition of broad enough to include a wide range of variation of appropriate to the individual needs and context of the school or course. The key success or the one key concept is that the blended learning is not merely the addition of some technological elements to an existing course, but rather than its integrated blend, utilizing the best of what both face-to-face and online learning have to offer. It also kind of blended presentation and interaction and model, and the blended block model and the fully online model provide initial frameworks for deliberate structure of blended learning to improve learning outcomes. So everyone, I think that's all for today's lesson. If you still have any question related to the introductory or the nature of blended learning, you can ask in the forum of Scalza. In the next chapter, in the next meeting, we will talk about the history of blended learning and the theory of the blended learning. Yeah. See you again in the next session. So that's all everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.